Are you planning a move to Grants Pass with kids? Maybe you're wondering about schools. Well, today I'm going to share some information about your options both in town and rurally. Hey everyone, I'm Simona Fino and welcome to Living Southern Oregon. Now I'm going to start this off by saying that overall, Oregon schools are rated pretty low compared to other states. At the moment, Oregon is rated 45th out of 50. Ugh. Our test scores in math and reading are below the national average. And there are several reasons for this, but one is that many areas of Oregon, including Grants Pass, see higher rates of poverty, which of course plays a big role in how kids are able to show up for their education. Then there's overall funding for schools, which has declined for a whole variety of reasons I'm not going to get into here. All right, so does this mean your child is going to get a crappy education in Grants Pass? Not necessarily. So your child's education depends on a lot of factors that are often within your control as a parent. Now, if your family is financially and emotionally stable and you're able to support your child and advocate for them when they need it, that is going to go a long, long way towards their success. All right, but I know you wanted to hear about specific schools, so here's a quick rundown. And I just want to say that I'm only going to give my personal opinion about the two schools that my child has attended because I don't have an opinion about the other schools. I've just got information that I've gleaned from the interwebs. All right, so I'm going to start by highlighting elementary schools in Grants Pass School District 7 and then the Three Rivers District. Now, something to keep in mind about the Three Rivers District is that they are on a 4-day work week instead of 5. Now, personally, I love this. Now, while it meant I needed childcare or had to stay home on Fridays when my daughter was young, I really came to cherish the 3-day weekend. Now, with so much focus in our culture on grinding 5 days a week, it really felt nice to have an extra day to sleep in or to just spend the day together and do an activity together. One report that I'm going to recommend that you check out is called the At a Glance Profile, and that is provided for each school by the Oregon Department of Education. Now, I'll be sharing a few tidbits from this report for each school, but it does have a lot of great information, so I'm going to provide the link here so that you can pull up those reports for each school. All right, first school, Allendale Elementary School. Now this is located on the south side of the Rogue River on the southwest side of town. Now when it comes to academics, Allendale holds its own with a B rating from niche.com and 4 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Both of these are very popular sites for evaluating schools. Their teacher to kid ratio is 21 kids for every teacher. You're going to find all the core subjects and a music program, which most elementary schools here offer for 4th and 5th graders, and they offer a number of after-school clubs. Now, in my opinion, the more activities offered by a school, the better, as it really gives students a chance to discover new passions or get better at something that they already love. All right, next on the list is Highland Elementary. Now this is located on the north side of town and it's right next to North Middle School, which makes that transition from 5th to 6th grade a really easy one. Highland comes with a B rating from niche.com and 5 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Their kid ratio to teachers is 22 kids for every teacher. They also provide a music program and the SMILE program, which is STEM skills. They have a school garden that kids can work in. And according to the At a Glance report, their academic success scores are slightly above the average for Oregon. Now, one of the cool things about Highland Elementary is that they also offer a free preschool for 4 and 5-year-olds, and that priority is given to families that are demonstrating need. Next on the list, Lincoln Elementary. This is located on the northeast side of town, and they get a B rating from niche.com and 4 out of 10 from greatschools.org. Their kid to teacher ratio is about 22 kids per teacher. And according to that At a Glance report, their academic success scores are a tad lower than the average for Oregon, with the exception of science, which came in a bit over the average. Now, these same reports show that the school has an 81% average teacher retention over the last 3 years, and 70% of teachers have more than 3 years experience, which is lower than both Highland and Allendale, both of which are in the high 80s or 90s. All right, Lincoln offers music like the rest, and they also have a number of extracurricular activities and clubs, including choir and peer mentoring. All right, next on the list, Parkside Elementary. Parkside is on the southwest side of town, and it gets a C+ on niche.com and a 5 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Now, academically, Parkside is below the Oregon average, and the average retention rate for teachers over 3 years is 87%, while the percentage of teachers with more than 3 years experience is 67%, which is much lower than other schools. Now they do offer a number of clubs and things. They've got honor choir, orchestra, a lot of extracurricular activities there. All right, next on the list, Redwood Elementary. Now Redwood is located on Leonard Road on the south side of the Rogue River, and it's one of the newer neighborhoods in town. Now it gets a B on niche.com and 4 out of 10 on greatschools.org. Their student to teacher ratio is 24 students to a teacher, and according to that at-a-glance report, the students there excel in English and science, but they're a tad behind in math. Now they have a good teacher retention rate of 93%, and 84% of the teachers have had more than 3 years experience. Next on the list is Riverside Elementary. Now Riverside is located on the southeast side of town, and here you're going to find about 21 students per teacher. They get a B on niche.com and a solid 7 out of 10 on Great Schools. Now academically, Riverside punches above its weight, especially in science and English. Now math is a tad under the average for the state. Their teacher retention rate is a little low at 84%, and shockingly, they have 64% for their teachers with 3 or more years experience. However, they do have a number of extracurricular activities, including skateboarding, a Lego robotics, track, so they've got some really interesting stuff. All right, now we're on to the 3 river schools, many of which are on the outskirts of town or in the rural areas. Now the first is Madrona Elementary, and this one probably the worst of all of them, is in the New Hope neighborhood, 22 students per teacher, C rating on niche.com, and an unfortunate 3 out of 10 on Great Schools. Now, they come in way under the Oregon average when it comes to academics. Now they do offer a number of extracurricular activities, including Master Gardeners, a science fair, and spelling bees. All right, this next one, Woodland Charter School. This is one of the schools I do have an opinion about because my daughter attended here from 2nd grade to 8th grade, and her dad is also one of the teachers, and he's been there since we moved here in 2015. Now this isn't your typical public school. It's a tuition-free, Waldorf-inspired charter school, and it serves 1st through 8th grade in a really creative and beautiful, nurturing setting. Now they get a C- on niche.org. They get a 5 out of 10 on Great Schools. Their teacher to student ratio is 24 students per teacher. Now academically, they're behind the Oregon average in English and math, and they're pretty much right at the average for science. Now their teacher retention rate is pretty low at 69%. However, 100% of the teachers have had more than 3 years experience. Now academically, Woodland aligns with Oregon state standards, and they use both traditional and Waldorf assessments like portfolio reviews and main lesson books. So they do their best to ensure that kids stay on track to graduate and come out of the 8th grade. Now, one of the concerns some folks have is whether a Waldorf student is going to be ready for high school when they move on to a more traditional style of education. Well, I just have to say, in the case of my daughter, she is excelling in all of her classes in high school, including her AP classes. And when I met with counselors at GP High, they did note that most Waldorf students did just fine in their transition to high school. Now, it is created by Rudolf Steiner, that Waldorf educational system. So if you want to learn more, you can look him up and you can learn more about that type of education. Now, one of the unique things about Waldorf that I appreciated is that teachers typically stay with the same class for multiple years, and this fosters deeper relationships between the students themselves as well as the teacher. The class really becomes a family. And at the end of the 8th grade, they do a special field trip together to celebrate their time together as a class family. Now, Mr. Everett, which is my daughter's dad, he planned an incredible river rafting trip in Utah with his 8th graders, and it was pretty amazing, and the kids absolutely loved it. All right, so one thing to note about Waldorf is there are fewer extracurriculars like sports or clubs, but this has been replaced with festivals and events, along with a whole number of different and interesting creative projects that they do, and this is really central to this school life. So if you're looking for an alternative that kind of bends away from rote memorization and traditional testing, Waldorf might be a good option for you and your family. All right, well, that wraps up my summary of the elementary schools in Grants Pass. Now, one thing I noticed in my research is that there are very few and mostly old reviews of each school from parents or teachers. So if you've got a kiddo who's gone to one of these schools, or if you're a teacher at any of these schools, I would absolutely love to hear from you. please share your experience and thoughts in the comments below. Let us know what you think of these schools. All right, finally, if you're considering a move to Grants Pass and you want to learn more about the area, give me a call and I'd be happy to help you. My number is 541-326-2552. And be sure to keep subscribing to my channel to keep updated on everything Southern Oregon.